We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I am teacher Casey, and I am here with Jen. Hey, Jen.
Hi, how are you? How
Good.
is
It's fun.
everyone?
Yes, finally, good to get to meet you face to face rather than in email.
Yes, indeed, indeed.
So I am super excited for today. I think many of you probably heard it in my voice during my last video, but Jen reached out to me about peace minded.
Yeah.
Yes, I got it.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. You got it.
Yes. So if you are an educator or a parent, you are really going to want to hear the questions I'm going to ask her today. And you are welcome to put questions into the chat box. If we are still live, I'll ask them live. If not, feel free to put them in the chat box. And I'm guessing you don't mind if I send you some questions.
I don't mind. I don't mind
Okay.
at all. At all. I'm really excited to be here. So thank you again for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm glad you could make it. So, all right, let's get started. I have notes on one page, so you're gonna have to excuse my going back and forth. But those of you that have been to my channel totally know
Yeah, do your
me.
thing.
So, Jen, you want to tell us just a little bit about yourself before we get into all the goodies?
All the goodies. Well, I'm Jennifer Smith. I am the founder of PeaceMinded, and PeaceMinded is an ed tech learning platform developed specifically for young students, and so early education and early childhood, and it's mindfulness tools and resources so that students can start to develop emotional regulatory skills and inner resilience and inner awareness. And that's what's going on. We've been going since 2020. So
That's great.
very
I think
excited.
this is such an important topic. Like, I think it can help teachers, it can help kids, it can help parents. So
I
I'm
think so.
excited.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like we can all benefit from a little like peace, a little mindfulness. I think so. Learning it at a young age, I wish I were afforded that opportunity. So I think
Yeah,
it's really, really important. And these are lifelong tools for
yeah,
students to be able to access.
perfect. I'm trying to set it up so I have you on one side.
Okay.
So every time I look at my notes, it doesn't look like I'm totally looking off.
It's
So
okay.
that's why I'm fiddling with things over here.
Yeah,
But
we all know you're working hard over there. It's okay. You do what you need to do.
So what inspired you to create Peace Minded? Was there a specific event or experience that motivated you?
Yeah, I come from a yoga background. So I was a yoga teacher, and the only job that I could find was teaching kids. So I didn't find kids, kids found me, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I was doing that for a while in New York City, and I was teaching at a charter school in Harlem, and I taught at another charter school in Washington Heights, and I started developing mindfulness programs for charter school networks.
Wow.
And the problem is when I would leave, my heart was
Mhm.
was just my heart was sad. I was excited for the new opportunity for me, but I was also saddened. I've got three kids downstairs. So I'm just, if you hear yelling and everything's fine. I promise.
It's all good.
I have three young kids. Okay. So my heart would be really heavy when I would leave a job because
Mhm.
I wondered how the kids were going to get their their moments of peace. I just wondered.
Yeah.
And the pandemic hit, and and all of a sudden, as teachers, we were forced to find a new way of teaching.
Yeah.
And I realized that this could be an effective way to bring mindfulness to a lot of students at one time. And
Yeah.
so Peace Minded was kind of born and developed in the idea at first yoga, and then eventually we morphed to mindfulness and tools and resources, little snippets of mindfulness that
Mhm.
teachers and educators can integrate throughout their day.
And like I was reading on your site, belly breaths and things like that. I
Yeah.
had recently heard about that. That wasn't something back when I was, in the kindergarten classroom, at least
Right.
I had heard of, and had recently heard it, and then I saw it on your Facebook, I mean on your page, and I was like, wait, what? This
Yeah,
is
it's
a
a thing.
thing.
It's a
Like
real thing. It's a real
it's
thing.
a thing.
And that's the thing that's really so exciting is now science has proven now that these
Yeah.
skills are teachable, and the earlier the better. And so
Mhm.
it's really exciting that this is something that schools and districts, and I know you work with a lot of educators as well, but this is something that a lot more educators are starting to veer towards.
Yeah.
And speaking of mindfulness, I feel like my two-year old could use a dose of
We can't
some
hear
belly
them.
breathing right now. She seems a little upset downstairs, so I
Oh no.
apologize to anyone
If
who.
you need to run and do something, we
Oh,
are,
no, 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 my
I think
husband's back.
90% of my subscribers or my viewers are friends that have children, and
Okay.
we pause on here, they go get
There you
some
go.
like
Yeah, I mean, I have a 4 month old, I have a 2 year
oh,
old, and I have a 4 year old. So
busy mama.
it's just gonna be loud down there. That's that's just
That's all good. So let's see, did we talk a little bit about your background? You talked about yoga.
a little bit, yeah. So, I did have a yoga background. So these school districts, these charter school networks were hiring me to come in, not as like someone who comes in maybe once a week to teach a class. I was a part of the staff. So I was there, yeah, and I was in a really unique situation. So I was there for morning meetings, and so I really was able to develop relationships with the kids and with the staff because I was a part of the staff.
Yeah.
And research says that when you have someone who is a part of the staff, right, who is there every single day with the kids, that's more effective. So I wanted to be able to find something that would be incredibly effective for teachers, and I figured who would be able to implement this better than the classroom teacher.
Awesome.
So I wanted to create something that was we wanted to create something, not just me, but we wanted to create something that the teachers could use. um, so back to me. Sorry, I keep going off tangents. Back
They're
to me.
used to it.
Um, so at my second charter school network, I developed the whole mindfulness program for the whole network. And I was afforded the opportunity to get my master's in teaching with the focus on mindfulness. So I
Oh,
went to school. I went to one grad program, and it was like the art of teach. It was a master's in teaching, so it was the arts of teaching, right? And being able to figure out the best practices to be
mhm.
able to and applying that to the content. And then I went to another program that was more focused on the actual content. So one was focused on the best teaching practices, and the other was focused on the actual content and being able to really strengthen my knowledge of what it means to facilitate mindfulness for young minds. And I became obsessed with it. I started working with teachers. I started working at the graduate school. I started working under my professor, and under her guidance. Her name is Linda Lantieri. She's amazing. She's a leader in social and emotional learning. And from there, I really wanted to figure out my lane in this industry, right? This
Yeah,
education, this part of the education industry. And so it was a lot of deep thought as to how I could figure out how to be as effective as possible. So that's just a little bit about me and kind of how it all came together.
I love it. It's a whole lot though. There's so much into teaching kids, and I always say it's kind of a bag of tricks.
It
At
is.
least for kindergarten and my littles,
It
it's like
is.
If this doesn't work, I've got another one.
Gotta do this. You gotta do that. You gotta do this. You're like, it's almost like performative art. You're like, okay, let's do this. Or, it's sometimes it's incentive, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's always relationships, though. It's
Yeah.
always, always, always relationships.
Well, love it. So
Mhm.
for those who are new to Peace Minded, can you give
Yeah.
us an overview of your platform and who it's designed for?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, as mentioned, it's an ed tech learning platform. So, it is designed for teachers, or it could easily be utilized and has been utilized at home as well.
Mhm.
But it's for whoever works with young students, young kids, and their tools. Our flagship product are the mindful teaching tools. And it is a series of centering moments, mindful journaling prompts, brain breaks, breath breaks, body breaks. So there are a lot of different entry points and ways to access being mindful. So some kids have to move, and that's okay, right? That is okay. That's great, right? And so the body breaks are, how can we move in a mindful way? How can we
Mhm.
move in a way that enhances focus instead of having a body break that now you're so hyped and you have to sit down for a math lesson. You're going
Yeah.
from here to there, and that's hard for adults, so
Yeah.
it's doubly hard for young kids.
I wish they
And
had some of this when I was a kid. I
so
used to get sad
funny.
faces sent home. I had to bring a card home every day.
You end up feeling like, is it me? Like, is it, and it's not, right? It's
Yeah.
we are all different. And so our kids are all different as
Right.
well. And so we wanted to create a product where if you need a body break, right, you need to move, okay, let's do it mindfully. Like,
Mhm.
or if you need to get it out, right? If you need to
Right.
like to get it out through journaling, and kindergarten gardeners a lot of times can't read or write yet, right?
Just
They're
at the
working
beginning
on
of the year.
beginning of the year. They're working on it. So the entryway is draw picture then, right?
How
Um,
cute.
so it's different ways for kids to access their inner peace, right? That we
Mhm.
all have. That we
Yeah.
all have that. So that's what the mindful teaching tools is about. But peace minded as a whole is something for educators to be able to utilize with their students, and something that they want to use, right? They want to use these because it's easy to access. It's press play, and
Mhm.
then it's done for you if you like. If you want to further your lesson and extend the lesson, then you can have that option as well. So
Yeah.
it's a really customizable kind of a product.
And I read like there was like curriculum, like you can follow certain things
Yeah.
to make it into your routine.
That's
Yeah.
correct. There's a whole mindful movement curriculum that is like weekly lessons that build on. That's another product as well that we also offer.
So
But
how
yeah,
do you choose or develop your resources? Like, right?
so it's kind of a lot of give or take, right? There's research
Mhm.
involved in it, right? So a
Right.
lot of it is looking and seeing, okay, what is effective? What are effective ways for students to be able to feel
Yeah.
peaceful, right?
Are
So
you
there's,
making them? Oh, sorry. Are you
oh,
making the videos? Are you in them?
no, I'm not in the videos. So a lot of the videos have themes of nature, right? Because nature is another way that
Yeah.
another access point to a peaceful, like a peaceful mind. Um, and I worked in Manhattan for 8 years, and nature is not a big thing there, right?
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
it's it's a wonderful city. I love New York, but nature, it's a little trickier.
Yeah.
So in my classroom, I would have kids walk in and there would be on the smart board, a river flow
Mhm.
or trees blowing in the wind. And immediately there were some kids that were immediately drawn to that. So, so there are a lot of themes of nature in the peace-minded resources. But to answer your question, it is based on research as far as what kinds of things are effective, what types of breathing skills are effective for students, what type of emotional regulatory skills are effective for students, and then making it, presenting it in a way that's so engaging, that is at their level and that they want to do. So, so that's it. My voice is in the video and in
Okay.
almost every video, but not me personally.
And let's see. So how can teachers best use Peace-Minded in their classrooms? Do you have any tips for incorporating your resources?
I do. I do. I have tons of tips. I have tons of tips. So, the good thing is, it's like it's what works for you, right?
Right.
So, there are teachers who this works best before or after a social and emotional learning lesson. That's
Mm,
great. There are teachers that they want to start their day off like this. Like, let's start their day with some mindful journaling. Or maybe a body break is the best thing to do before transitioning from subject to subject.
mhm.
Or maybe a breath break is needed after recess,
Yeah.
okay? Or after lunch. Okay, we're back in
Before read alouds.
the classroom. I'm really, really excited to get started on this math lesson. Let's take 3 minutes. Let's center ourselves. Let's breathe, right? And then it's not so jarring for students to transition from one thing to a next, to
Yeah,
another. So that's how teachers can incorporate it. But there are specialists and providers that might want to do this for one-on-one, as far as one-on-one interventions. I've had
yeah,
parents actually use these resources when their child was dysregulated. And I'm
yeah.
like, oh, do you want to blow up a balloon? Oh, here, look, let's blow up a balloon together. And then
Uh-huh.
after, maybe we can talk about what's bothering you, so that we can talk about it in a way that's respectful of both of us. So there are a lot of different avenues
Yeah,
to travel with the resources that we
mhm,
have available. And that's the thing that I like about it, is that it's completely up to the provider and the educator as far as what would be the best use of these tools.
yeah. I I immediately think, and I said in the last video, it's not a secret. I have a family member that was looking for resources like a
Yeah.
year or two ago, and I found a little box to help her. I'm like, I hope you don't mind. She's like, no, send me the resources.
Send
So
me the resources.
yeah. So we know homeschool parents, can give or caregivers can all benefit from this. And you mentioned kindergarten, and what age groups is this mostly
So the
for?
mindful teaching tools are really best between well, okay. The mindful teaching tools can be used from kindergarten through fifth grade.
Mhm.
We're Elementary school is kind of our bread and butter.
Yeah.
And then we have a mindful movement curriculum, and that's for kindergarten through second grade.
Okay. I was
Mhm.
kind of wondering because I think some of those resources would be great for lots of kids,
Yeah.
not just K through 2. So I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. The mindful teaching tools, especially like the mindful journaling prompts, they say, all of them are all of the prompts provide the opportunity for students to write or to
mhm,
draw. So a kindergarten teacher could use it just as easily as a fourth grade teacher.
yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Any plans to expand materials for older students or teens?
Eventually, I'm a believer of do one thing and do it really, really well, and then grow and then expand. So I want to
Smart.
make sure, right?
Yeah.
And the response so far has been fantastic, and I love
Aw,
that. And I want that to continue. So right now the focus is on those early grades, but as we expand, as we grow, like I said it before, we can all use a bit of mindfulness.
Yeah.
So yeah, there definitely that is in the far future. Um,
Mhm.
that idea is there.
Great. So have you received feedback from educators or parents on how it's impacted their children, or, you know,
Yeah,
what's the
yeah,
word I'm looking for?
yeah. No,
Like
no,
a
no.
success story
No,
of,
but is it effective, right? Is it
yeah.
effective basically? Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of there are a couple of things, right?
Hmm.
Um, research also shows that when the educator or provider, the facilitator of whatever is of the class or the group or your kid, whoever is providing
Yeah.
information, when that person also has some type of way to 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 practice have some sort of mindful practice. Maybe it's just like things
Right.
are stressful, right? That is a stopping point, right? You are
Yeah.
stopping and being present, right? But so when we talk about feedback, there's feedback in two different ways, right? So
Hmm.
teachers are like, I feel so calm, right?
Right.
I'm
I
listening
was
to the
gonna,
music and I'm hearing this and I'm seeing this river flowing, and it just breaks up my day a little bit,
yeah.
right? And so that is the idea. And we
Mhm.
also send, weekly to the school districts that we are fortunate enough to work with. We send weekly emails that, kind of allow teachers and educators just to pause for just 2 minutes while you read this email. And
Yeah.
it's not just about like, hey, you got this due or this. It's like, remember that you're important in this process too. It is about the kids, of course,
Right.
but in
That's why we
order
teach.
in order to be as effective as possible as a teacher, as an educator, it's about you as well.
Yeah.
And so the feedback has been very, very positive in regards to educators feeling seen and feeling acknowledged, that the work that they do can be um, very stressful, and being able to have tools that can help their class feel
Mhm.
good, and that are easy for them to use as well. It's not an added thing that they
Yeah.
have to do, right? There's so much, so it's not
Yeah.
something else on the list. That's been really appreciated, which we love to hear. And
Mhm.
for kids get excited. They're liking the body breaks, they're liking the movement, they're liking
Yeah.
doing that, right? But the fun little ways, like we just added a new breath break, dandelion breath, where they can blow the dandelion breath
Aw.
and things like that. So they're excited to do the work that is involved in learning how to regulate emotions, learning how to touch the um, inner peaceful part that we all have, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's not as easy to
I was
access.
gonna say, kids want that. They don't have the words to tell us a lot of times, but I think they're looking for that sometimes. Sometimes they don't have peace and relaxation at home. They come to school, and sometimes if we can give them that minute, you know. And you're right, when you were saying all of the uses for it, I was thinking maybe the teacher needs a 3-minute break. Like,
Oh my gosh, teaching is no joke,
yeah.
and so being able to just, 2 minutes of
Mhm.
just like breathing, and maybe you're planning for your lesson, maybe you're
Yeah.
looking through papers and stuff, but you just hear like breathe in,
Okay. Yeah.
you know? So so yeah, absolutely.
I like when parents go on field trips with me because they have like a whole new respect for teachers. My one of my parents said, I got in my car and I just like couldn't even listen to the radio. I just had to relax in the quiet. She's like, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
Love
And then
it.
smile. And it's not just do it, but like do it and smile and genuinely enjoy
I
being
love it.
in the present moment, right? It took, I'm going to be honest, like I'm going to be very transparent. That took a while for me to get as a teacher of yoga and mindfulness. I was like, this isn't clicking, right? This is, and so that was another thing. Like new teachers, I wanted to have something to speak to them.
Let's see. In your opinion, oh, I thought this was a good question. I didn't come up with them all by myself, guys, but so in your opinion, why is social emotional learning so important in today's world? How do you see it benefiting kids in the long term?
So,
That's a tough question.
it's not though. It's not because, y- you know, okay. This is the best. I'm going to start this off by saying, in grad school, there was a professor that, I think it was an educational policy course, and she was fantastic. She was a fantastic professor. And everything, remember I said everything that I was doing, I was applying it to the work that I knew I would be doing.
Hmm.
And so um, she mentioned SEL or other soft skills.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe I shouldn't have been triggered by that. But in my mind, I was thinking, well, if you can't regulate your emotions, if you aren't even aware of what emotions you are feeling, then you can't do anything else. You can't lead. You can't, like, what good is a math lesson and being able to build on that knowledge if when you are an adult, you can't control your, or manage is the better word, manage your emotions with your colleagues? How far are you really going to get in
Mm.
life if those things have not been fine-tuned? And so when I think about SEL, I think that it is the emphasis that is now being put on SEL in schools and the standards that are now in place are so needed.
Yeah.
And like they've been needed. Like you and I were just speaking, they didn't have anything like this when we were growing up. There was like Mr. Rogers, and he was great. He was great. But now that we could teach these things in school, and I'm not saying that they weren't taught in school. So I know that there are teachers that have been
Oh, yeah.
teaching about feelings since
Mhm.
before we coined the term social and emotional learning.
Yeah.
Um, but now that there's curriculum that's devoted to this, and there's time in schedules that is devoted to this throughout schools across the country, I'm excited to
Yeah.
see the next generation grow up and be able to, first of all, focus their attention, right? You can focus better if you can
Yeah.
understand how you're feeling. You can be able um, if you're feeling something and you don't want to be feeling that way, you
Mhm.
now know that that's a choice. These are life lessons, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic life lessons. So as far as what I think about it and where I think it's going, I think it can only get better. And I'm excited and proud to be in the industry that is helping to facilitate that process for young minds. It's
I
great.
had amazing school counselors that came in and did some lessons on things and anything we needed. Oh, I was very fortunate in some of the schools I worked at. And I mean, we even had one that came in to do lesson on boogers, like for us, like, but they would come and talk about different ways to, for the kids to help themselves and things. And so I was very fortunate in that. But I think we're always looking for resources as classroom teachers that we can add as well. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
When you were talking about it, just sparked some of the awesome counselors I've had that I got to work with.
Counselors, I mean, they should be called miracle workers. They are absolute. My mom was a former counselor. I come from
Okay.
a family of educators. So my mom was a former counselor in her education days, and it's just like they're just. I just want to hug every counselor.
Right. Let's see. So, how can educators and caregivers create environments that support mental wellness and emotional intelligence beyond using Peace Minded? I know it's amazing, but is there something they can do right now, maybe to get started and start looking into it? What do you think?
I think that the best thing that educators can do is work on themselves.
Mm.
I don't know how else to say it, but I do think that that is, and that is not to say that they aren't. That is
Yeah,
not to say that they are in any way flawed. I should say we. That is not to say that we aren't or that we are in any
right.
way flawed. But I do think if you're talking about a place to start, I think
Mhm.
that the best place to start is within.
Yeah,
And to just, okay, what is it that I need? Being able to know what you need can only benefit your students as well. So I think that that's a great place to start.
yeah.
Now, after that, okay, after that, right? Because I know you weren't expecting that answer. Um,
But
but
it's so true. But we don't think of ourselves first. So I wasn't expecting that because
yeah,
normally we
and
don't.
I think that that's really, really important. Being able to acknowledge, like, you know what? It's October, and I feel like I'm drowning.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just the beginning of the year, and I know, like, I feel like I need something. Being
Mhm.
able to acknowledge that, it, that's important because then you have I don't know if it's a story to tell, but uh, you have you are relatable to your
Mhm.
kids.
Yeah.
Being able to say to even acknowledge to students, I was having a really difficult time because of X, Y, Z. That right there builds your relationship with children.
Mhm.
And relationships are so important in the classroom. So that answer is from my heart. I really do believe that the best thing us that as that we as educators can do is start with ourselves and being able to acknowledge what it is that we need,
Yeah.
and then provide that for ourselves so then we can then give to our students.
Right? We had a principal. I know you keep sparking all these people that were I was fortunate enough, but I had a principal that started off the school year saying, "Teachers, you need to take care of yourself, your family first." And we're all like, and he's like, "You are better teachers when you take care of yourselves." And we're all like, "Wow." Like it was a really cool way that he started that year off, and I will never forget it. It was a while ago too.
Yeah, I had a principal, a former principal, in Washington Heights, and their whole this was a charter school. Their whole um, idea about how it is their charter school network will be
Mhm.
run was we need to really take care of teachers. And that means that we need to provide them the tools that they need. But their pay needs to be equitable there to what it is that they're doing.
Mhm.
Every single thing was, let's put teachers first so that teachers can put the kids first, and that's exactly what happened. So that was a lovely place to work.
Nice. I just realized I have kept you here for like 40 minutes already. I know, I can't help it. I just love to, but I'll let you finish that question and then maybe I'll give you one more if that's okay.
Okay. Wait, which question were we on?
We
What are,
so we're talking about I have it right here.
okay.
Setting up their environments or teachers. Like
Right.
what can we do as teachers?
Okay. So now, okay, after you take care of yourself, I think that it's really good to, as far as to provide a calm environment, I think that if we're just looking at the actual environment, the physical environment, like first of all, asking kids like, hey, should we turn the lights off today? The lights are a little jarring. Should we turn the
Mhm.
lights off? Or, and it's not just that example, but anything, right? Like maybe we should lower the lights. Instead of giving stickers in my class, I would give flameless candles, and
Oh,
that's kind of how we would work in like candlelight, right? And like
that's
I
cute.
always had music playing in my classroom.
Mhm.
There are things that the actual physical classroom environment that we can do to
Yeah.
enhance that space to make it more comfortable for students and teachers, right? I always had and there were several teachers that always had air diffusers going. Yeah, my
Some
God,
schools don't allow them, so you gotta check
some
with your
schools don't allow.
school.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. But there are a lot of things that can be done for the actual physical space, right? So now we've tackled two really big things, right? So now your teacher is grounded, right? Your facilitator of the class is grounded. They know what it is that they need in order to feel safe, in order to feel cared for, right? They've done that. Now the physical space is now one that is calming and relaxing for students and for teachers. Now, from here, we can go on and we can, through the relationships that we built with kids, we can go on and have conversations, have honest conversations about what's going on with them if they want to share, right? Some kids don't want to share,
Right.
and that's completely fine, also. But if we are facilitating this space of being able to grow our minds and our emotions and our abilities to understand them. From there, we can start to have those conversations from a place of peace, from a place of awareness,
Mhm.
and from a place of empathy.
Yeah. And getting them to share, once they start sharing, they feel comfortable and loved and safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we want for our kids. That's what we want for our
Yeah.
teachers. That's what we want for our kids. That is what we want for education. I promise it's a good thing.
It is. Okay, so is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience about your mission, your vision?
Yeah, you know what? We are just on a mission to create more peaceful classrooms and more peaceful learning environments. And so I think you mentioned it on your video. We have free resources that
Yeah.
educators can use and utilize so that, like that's the goal. We want your space and your kids and you to be able to feel peace, even if it's just for 2 minutes. That is important, right? Obviously, we want to extend it, right? We don't want
Right.
just 2 minutes out of 24 hours of
Right.
your day to be
Sometimes you just
peaceful.
need two. So, but yeah.
Sometimes you just need to, right? And we want to be able to be your mindfulness companion in learning environments.
It's great. I love it. I encourage all of the teachers and parents to check it out. Like she mentioned, there are free resources. I think I have all the links below. I will check and see. Don't be afraid to ask questions. We're here for you.
Yes, we are indeed. Ask away.
Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on here and chatting with us.
Okay, thank you. This has been really fun. I really appreciate the invite.
Thanks. All right, come back anytime. And those of you out there, I saw we had a few viewers. Don't be shy. Put questions in the chat, or after the video is done, if you have questions that I can't answer, I will try to find them and ask her, and we'll get back to you. So,
Sounds
all right,
good.
everybody, have a great night or day wherever you are.
Wherever
Bye.
you are. Bye.